We are in the studios of 9PBS, the most watched PBS station in all of America. Alan, share this with me. Vistage meeting just unfolded here. And you said something as a 32-year veteran chair that I've never heard before. Tell us about your battlefield and generals in the tent analogy and how it relates to Vistage.
There is a very little known quote from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I had never heard it till I was rereading the book. And the quote is, "Wars are won in the general's tent." And you stop and think about that. Sun Tzu, the great Chinese general, also said, "Every battle is won before it's fought." And that struck me because with Vistage, there's a tent and there's some generals.
Yes.
And there's a lot of decisions that get tossed around. Some are made, some are discarded, some are changed, and then they're executed, and there's some accountability around that. And just that one quote really kind of crystallized for me what Vistage is really all about. It's the only place that a group of CEOs or senior executives can go every month where there's people at their level with no other agenda than to be helpful. I mean, everyone else in your life wants something from you, even your family, and that's fine. But to have a place to go that is non-transactional and safe, not always comfortable, but safe, is I think truly remarkable.
Well, let's break this down just a little bit more.
Sure.
Because when I heard it the first time, it really landed, and I went, wait a second. If I understand this, wars are not won on the battlefield. They're won in the general's tent. But from what you see, CEOs, entrepreneurs, business leaders, how much of their time is actually spent in the general's tent? Are you finding way too much time is spent actually on the tactical battlefield?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And nowhere near enough in the tent, and too much fighting the battle or refighting a battle that could have been fought better or not fought at all.
And so, in your experience, 32 years as a Vistage chair, you came in 1994. Mm-hmm. What's changed about leadership and what has not changed?
Leadership for me is about clarity. Management's about complexity. Leadership's about providing clarity. And if you don't provide the people that are working for you clarity, they're not likely to perform, or they're likely to perform badly because you're making it too risky for them to do anything else. So I think providing clarity has gotten a lot harder because there's so much more going on. There's so much more information. People have so many more choices, and it feels like there's a lot more risk in the world. It's interesting that in my blog, there's every week I feature a chart from the Federal Reserve that it's their estimate of uncertainty in the world. And you can go back and look at it, and about 3 or 4 years ago, all of a sudden, that baseline jumped up.
So it's not just an instinctual feeling. This is really happening.
It's quite real. And I think people really need a place to go where people can say, that's a terrible idea, don't do that. That's a great idea, but do it this way. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what's really interesting is that I've seen CEOs make the exact right decision, and it failed. And it failed because they didn't have the confidence to execute aggressively. If you go into a meeting, visit your board, whatever, and someone says, that's a great idea, you're going to be a lot more confident in executing it.
So in 1994, the world was a different place. And it was Bud Carter who basically twisted your rubber arm and got you into this Vistage community, then known as Tech.
Yes, Bud Carter was a regional manager out of Atlanta, and he didn't have to twist very hard.
Okay.
I saw it immediately because every job I'd ever had been working with or for a CEO.
Okay.
And what I noticed was I would give advice. I'm here, the CEO's there. I would give advice, and it would land very differently than if they got it from a peer. And so I saw immediately that this would be a far better vehicle for people to make decisions with.
And to come into the general's tent. Now, at Big Little Legends, in this very room, we talk about the strategic value in differentiation. You came up with an example that has never been heard before in any of the many meetings that I've attended. Tell us about your example, your story of differentiation from early 70s rock
No,
and Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull.
No one would ever think that Vistage and Jethro Tull would be in the same conversation, but Alan, you figured it out.
Well, I hadn't thought about it till this morning either, but basically, Jethro Tull, English rock band, led by a gentleman named Ian Anderson. And in the late 60s, he was in the process of forming a band. He was a pretty good guitarist, but he was also a businessman. And he looked around and he said, we're not doing very well. We're not getting good bookings. And he said, what should we do differently? And he said, there's no way I'm ever going to be as good a guitarist as some of those gunslingers out in London like Jimmy Page or Eric Clapton or people like that. So he decided, I'm going to find a different instrument. So he takes his old beat-up Fender to the pawn shop, and he says, I'm going to trade it in for something else. And the story is there was a flute hanging on the wall. And he said, I'm going to try that. Well, he didn't know how to play the flute. But he said, over the course of a month, he kind of figured out enough that he could take it on stage with him. And that became a great differentiator for him. I don't know of any other rock band that has a flute player. ELO did the same thing with having a concert violinist on the stage with them. So it was all about a differentiator that really made a difference. But if he hadn't taken that risk, he would just be another English rock band that didn't get much past the club scene.
Yeah. If you don't, what is it? No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah, exactly.
No guts, no glory. A flute from Ian Anderson suddenly is a great story about why being differenter beats being better. Alan, thank you so much for doing this, and continued success with everything you do.
Thank you.
With Vistage here in St. Louis. It's been said that you cannot create a legend without a story, and who knows? You might be only one story away, like Alan, from creating your own legend.